Well, howdy ho there. Yeah, we got episode 10th rolling around here, so let's do this. Whew, welcome back. That was Runaway from Home Feeling. Unfortunately, I don't know who the person is who did it because the contributing artist section for the song has a bunch of music symbols. So, kind of makes it a little difficult. Yeah, so recap of this week. I may have mentioned it before, but finished up Uncharted 2. And I really didn't like it. Didn't like it nor 1. Started up 3 because I'm like, well, I got the trilogy, might as well finish it up. And I'm already about an hour into it. And I like it more than I have the other two combined at any point, really. I think it has to do with just the narrative sense, and then it's not just a bunch of silliness. Because I don't know, and that's probably why I like something like The Last of Us. Is it's a little bit more of a narrative to it, and that's not to say it's a better or it's the best or anything. It's just like I've mentioned before. I don't really try or go around and figure things out. However, when in a game like Uncharted 1 and 2, you pretty much know what's coming your way outside of like the last little sections of, well, you don't know it in the first, but then by the second you're expecting it. So it's like two is basically just one ratcheted down and tightened up. It's in a good way, but it's not much better when it comes to a narrative to me. 3, at least so far, the narrative is more quote unquote deceptive, and yeah, the subtitles Drake's deception, but it's at least I'm not sitting there going, okay, just go after the thing, get the thing. I mean, here you have get the thing, but having to deal with other people, and it's yeah. So already so far, I'm liking 3 a bit more. Yay! I'm playing Dragon Quest 6, and I just got to the point where you are able to pick vocations or classes. The game is so boring to me for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's just, it is so boring. It is like a plodding through waist-high mud through a swamp that is flat. There's no trees or nothing. It's just a flat swamp, and there are no alligators. Oh, I don't know. No nothing. No monsters. It's just swamp, and I'm just kind of treading through that. So, yeah. The other thing was that I have watched most of Cowboy Bebop with my younger siblings. We still got about eight episodes to go in the movie. My youngest sister, she's really gotten into the animes, and she had it on her list of things to watch, and I was like, I have it. If you want to watch it, let's watch it. And she's like, yeah. And then my youngest brother, he had watched a few of them with us and stuff, and he seemed to like it because he wasn't, and he must have gotten this from my dad, but he likes to say things during movies, make quips, or shows and stuff like that. And I personally don't like that at all. It really. I mean, if you're saying stuff during like a down moment, like say the end of something or before something has started up, I can kind of understand. I'd be like, okay, it's safe, or during like the bumpers and stuff. But during something when I've got to make a funny quip because it just came to when there's still stuff going on and that you're going to miss it because they're saying stuff. Yeah. No, stop it. Stop it. That really bugs me. But my sister actually is really liking it so far, so that's cool. The I didn't know how she would kind of take to it, but I don't know. It's one of the few animes that I really like. I'm not a big. I mean, we've kind of gone through this before, but I'm not a big anime fan. I don't like the tropes, and that's kind of what's pushed me away from a lot of JRPGs. Is the tropes, the fan service. That's particularly why I don't like the Trails of Cold Steel stuff so much, because you've got that sort of thing going on, and it don't work for me at all. And and I mean, tropes are tropes, but if you can at least make them interesting, then okay, that's fine. I just haven't found them interesting. I haven't found the setting interesting. I haven't found a lot of it interesting. It's just not my cup of tea. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop, love that series. Love the music for it. Yes, I know that Yoko Kanno used a lot of other music as templates for the music that she made. That's okay, whatever. It's still good music. I mean, or it's music that's good to me. Like I like it. It went okay. If it's similar to other stuff, I can go listen to the other stuff and see how I feel about that. It's not like it's verbatim. I mean, yeah, a lot of places it is very similar with certain songs and stuff, but at least it's enjoyable to me. So, yeah. But no, yeah, we'll be getting through that for the rest of this week, and then the movie sometime. So yeah, so that means I haven't really had as much of a time to read. I'm still reading the Conan the Barbarian collection. I think I'm only about 100 and some odd pages in. Just haven't really got to it. Got that. Watched my brother play a little bit of Dragon Quest Heroes, which I got mainly because I knew he would like it. It's not really my cup of tea, that type of game. I mean, it's cool. Like, and that's the thing. Because I watch him play it a little bit and stuff, I hear all this music and I get the nice bits of nostalgia and all that sort of thing, and that's the fanfare that way. Yeah, because playing it doesn't sound as interesting to me. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah. Okay. We are going to take a break, and we are going to go with a different kind of topic, which will probably make it a very. I'm hoping it'll make it a very good discussion with people and stuff. And that's not to say that the other comments and stuff through earlier episodes hasn't been good. It's I guess I should mean different perspectives for the discussion, and that is about cultural weakening. So we'll get into that, and yeah, let's take a break. I need something to drink. Break. Welcome back. That was by AK Here, who I've mentioned before for a few different songs, and this one in particular was an arrangement of a song from Final Fantasy III when you're riding the shadowy waves of the Sea of Darkness. I want it's really early on. It's about a fifth of the way through the game, I want to say. Maybe it's a little bit longer than that. I don't know. I haven't played in quite some time, but it's a really good song. I like the arrangement, so yeah. Yeah. So the topic for today is cultural weakening, and I have no notes for this, so this is going to be very. I don't know how I'm going to do this because I've tried to do this a few times already, and I've stopped and went, "That was really dumb. What are you going into?" And I would just be like, words. So we're gonna try to be, and I understand the show's rambling weekly, and this is why. This is why it's called that, because it's not so much of, well, let's do our due diligence and know what we're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. Nor do a lot of people. So I'm in good company. Hey! Or maybe we're just all just but so culture weakening was an idea that I kind of thought of when I was doing one of the earlier talks. One of the earlier episodes. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but the idea kind of stemmed from different aspects of kind of taken away from it. For one, in particular, is the commercialization of it, to where it's people are now doing it. Now, I shouldn't say now, but it's pushed to such a point now, and that's probably the idea that I started with, and then just went sidetracked in a failed recording of it. But people have shifted to doing it more for the money than trying to do it at all for the heart. Whereas if somebody tried to do it all for the money and then failed, they can still kind of get away with failing for a while with just different aspects of it, and the sea of everything that goes on. Where back then, if you failed, you failed. It's hard to get money going for those sorts of things. Here, money's a lot easier to come by, it feels like. It's not like it's solely been. I mean, look at the Sistine Chapel. It wasn't like Michelangelo just did that for free. He got paid to do that. He was a patron was giving him patronage to be like, hey, paint this fucking paint this chapel. Gotcha, chief. Done. Not quite. I mean, I know that's a really broad stroke, broad brush strokes, but but I think with the way that money has inundated the system so much so that I don't know, like you have that, but you also I honestly don't understand what the culture is trying to push as a thing now. I think that's what the big problem is that there's no. I'm not saying there's like no morals, and I'm not saying they need to be like biblical or scripture morals or things like that, but you don't have. It honestly feels like there's not really much of anything that guides people. It's just, let's just make stuff. Superheroes, some of them can ask interesting questions, like the whole thing with Spider-Man and using power responsibly, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. Like that's the thing. Part of it's you got that. Part of it's you got fucking things like Sharknado and stuff like that. I have a really big problem with the culture, and that's not just like Hollywood or anything like that. But I really find that there's not. and maybe it's because I just don't pay much attention to it, but part of it's because it's not really telling me much of anything, and I'm not saying it has to tell me because I need to know something, but I'm not really getting any sort of messages out of it. At least with things like Aesop's Fables, you're getting a message out of those things. What messages are you getting out of, like, Grey's Anatomy? And I know that it's just one that kind of comes to my head. But what message are you getting out of like historical documentaries? It depends on what you're really going for. I mean, you could just kind of not say anything and just kind of let the information talk for itself. But because it's such a soft science when you're dealing with people, you need to kind of go with something. You need to. What aspect are you going to go with? Nazis and be like, hey, it's a bad thing to just let Nazis be Nazis. I mean, that's a very, very basic idea, but that's where I feel like that's where I feel it's failing. I feel a lot of it just doesn't really. It's saying a lot, but it doesn't really have much to say. I guess that's what it's getting to, and. Maybe it's just because there's so much of it and everybody can say something that it feels that way, or I don't know. Maybe I'm just way off on this, but it's the dissemination of people finding, because I guess that is a very big point with this whole cultural thing, is that it's very disjointed. You have different people enjoying different things, and because they enjoy different things and they have a way to enjoy those things solely, it really feels like it's kind of echoing back, and it's pushing them more and more for that. Say, for example, ESPN, that sort of thing. I will listen to, and this like, I will listen to one. And it's not even ESPN, just like sports radio. I listen to one sports radio show because they are actually really engaging people to listen to. Not only are they're slightly optimistic, but they at least back up their information and kind of, they back it up, but they also are like, let's talk about that, and then, XYZ, and the possibilities of it. Let's say, where any other radio show that's a part of that area, they talk nothing but just angst. Oh, this team did everything wrong. They need to do this. They need to do that. I know everything better than them because I blah 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 blah. Instead of trying to take anything contextually, it's all just broken down into. Let's just shoot at the mouth, and this is why I really don't like the like reactions to things and stuff like that, because it's really 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 basic, because it's not very informed, because you see something and ignore the context, and that's what I feel like a lot of. And I think it's gotten better as of recently, but there was a long stretch of time where there was just no context, and so because there was no context, you didn't get a nuance, you didn't get any of that. You just kind of got fed. Here's the story, and I don't know. It just feels like, and this is the epitome of Rambling Weekly, where I just ramble on about this sort of thing, rambling and ranting, yeah. But I really find it difficult to get into a lot of things because there's not. I'm failing to see what kind of messages they're trying to send. Does everything need a message? No, not really. No, I understand that, but there's a lot of times where I'd like to see that, just to see what people value. That's, I guess, what it comes down to me, is that when you're not really trying to say anything, or try to spread some sort of message that you have, you can't really find what people value. And I have a hard time seeing what people value other than themselves being badasses or being super awesome. Kind of, I don't know. I have a really hard time seeing that. Maybe it's because I don't spend a lot of time with it. But I don't know. Even as a kid, I wouldn't, or teenager, I wouldn't watch any of the stuff because it just didn't interest me. There's not, and I don't know, and I understand games don't do that well either. I mean, usually it's just usually it's generally it's like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing. Like I said before, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's condemnable because of that or anything like that, but it's lessons that I've already heard from other things, so I don't really need it. It's just not. It's just the same kind of thing being repeated. Okay, we'll pass on that. And I mean, take for example with Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is it's asking about self-purpose. So I think self-purpose is very different than self-doubt or self-loathing and that sort of thing. Asking about purpose is a very common thing. A lot of people ask, well, why are we here? What am I doing here? Why do we do the things we do? And then they explore this with each of the characters, and then they explain their rationales for it, and it's up to you to decide which one you agree with. I mean, that's okay. Yeah, Ein doesn't because it's a fucking Welsh corgi. So, but Ed's living for Ed. Ed's living to pretty much. Ed is very hedonistic in that all she's doing is going for things that make things fun for her. Which, I mean, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Personally, I would side with no. It's not a good thing because that's just a. I'm not saying you should purposely set out to find things that are like horrible for you or anything like that, but to solely go for what makes you happy in the moment will not. It's the paradox of hedonism. It will not lead you to greater happiness as a whole. It's just how things are. Spike's always dealing with the past and can't really fully bring himself to enjoy the present. And that's how some people are. Some people constantly lament not living in the golden age. Like you see, and this is what really kind of gets to me a lot is that, it doesn't, and it's probably why I don't connect with a lot of like shows or anime and that sort of thing, is that you got a lot of it that's set in the high school era and that sort of thing, because for a lot of people high school is the time of their life. It's a much simpler time to them. It's a lot more happy time, and I don't get it. I mean, I saw this with like watching stuff in high school and middle school. It's like, this is, I mean, I had a really enjoyable high school. I had fun with it. Mind you, I wasn't like the super stud or anything like that, but I had really good friends. I didn't really have any like enemies or anything like that. The school was a smaller school, but they for the most part were not bad people. And the thing with high school is I and my best friend at the time, we were probably seen as the two people who could get along with everybody in the school, whether it was the jocks, the druggies, the gigolos, not the juggalos, the gigolos. You know that. But I mean, just or the academia, the quote unquote smart people and stuff like that. You got along with them, and that was because this is why I hate when people bring up things about drama. I hate drama. I think drama's annoying. There's points where it can be interesting. Political intrigue is one thing with like Game of Thrones, for example, where it's Machiavellian kind of things going on and backstabbing. That's a little bit different. When you're lopping people's heads off, you've gone from drama to a different realm. Drama to me is something like let's kind of badmouth somebody, and then they're badmouthing me. We're going to talk, and it's like whatever. I don't care. It's a waste of time and energy and brain cells for all I care. It's not for me. No, thank you. But but you see this a lot with that sort of thing where it's like, hey, we've got to kind of push for the better times, and let's remember the great times, the golden age of high school and that sort of thing. And I understand that a lot of people they don't agree with that either, and I think that's why that sort of thing has died down at least a little bit. But on anime, no, it's a lot of that sort of thing, and I just don't care for it. I mean, it's not really saying a message. It's you're living in the past sort of thing, and I can't quite remember. I want to say it was Bill Hicks. There is no such thing as the past. There is no such thing as the present. There's only right now, sort of thing. So, that's kind of where I've gone into, is that the past isn't here to be. It isn't here. It is its own thing, and I am here right now, talking into a microphone, sipping on some Q hecho en Mexico Coca-Cola. Yum. Whew. But I mean, you even see this with Jet's character. To go back to Bebop there, you see that when in Jet's character get resolved 2 separate times with Uday and with Alisa. Or Alisa? I think it's Alisa. Alyssa? I think it's Alisa. And he comes to terms with it. And then he just kind of goes about doing his own thing. The end. But they're telling their own messages. Faye doesn't know who the hell she is, and is she not really her true self until she discovers who she was? No, because she's come to be who she is because of who the situations have forced her to either have forced her to become who she become in a certain way, but it's her deciding to do that in order to survive. It's not to say that if she would have chosen another way that she wouldn't have survived, but because she did, that's where she is right now and that sort of thing. But they're telling a message with, and not even just those, but with a whole bunch of other characters about self-purpose, and this is what they're trying to answer for themselves, and it leads to different things, and that's fine. I just don't feel like I'm seeing that a lot, and if people can point out more of that to me, that be my guest. But I think because therefore I am. But I really kind of wonder if that is why it feels like the whole media thing is really, really disjointed, is because you have different aspects going and kind of pushing different things. So people go to those because that's what they like. They like sports, so they go to ESPN or some other or Sports Illustrated or something. They like superheroes, so they watch The Flash and that sort of thing. Or they like something else and they go into that. But it doesn't really... It's not really teaching. Like, tell me what the Flash... If somebody watches The Flash, what messages is that teaching you? I'm very curious to know. Because I have no idea because I'm not watching it. So... But, I mean, that's, I guess... I mean, yeah, there's probably stuff that comes up or has still yet to be explored. The newest Marvel movie, Civil War. I'm not going to talk about it, but I have no interest in seeing it. However, somebody had told me about it, and it's kind of pitting two different ideas. And I know comics kind of do that, where they can kind of go into different ideas and that sort of thing with vigilanteism or you know, lovable, huggable stuff like that. But I don't know. It feels just like it is a entertainment and culture. Look at music. I mean, I know I really haven't talked about that much, but look at the just insipid, vacuous nature of music currently. And that's not everything, of course, but I mean the stuff that is pushed as the popular stuff nowadays. It is so vapid. Like, it is dumbfounding how vapid it is. Like, I don't get it. I really, like, lyrically, I'm just like, there's no meat on this bone. There's just words, bunch of kacharpal, and constant hooks to get people to listen to it, and it doesn't. Maybe I'm just getting like old man syndrome or something like that. Instead of PMS, it's OMS. But what lessons are you trying to teach people? Because I'm not saying that everything, but I guess that's just how I like things. I like there to be not like, oh, well, you did a bad thing, you get your hand chopped off. That's not a good lesson. That's a pretty extreme lesson, but it's just something that came to mind. But you know what lessons are these things kind of teaching? And I think that's what kind of happens when you don't have any sort of message, or you don't really have a clear set sort of values that you cherish. And certainly there are certain values that people have which some people will find abhorrent. However, for me, myself, my parameter is, as long as you are not causing someone else harm, I think it can be a good value. And that's, emotionally, mentally, physically, and that sort of thing. No harm or retardation that way. If you're not stunting somebody else's ability to emotionally explore or I don't want to say evolve, but develop, I guess would be a good word for it, then yeah. So I don't know. That was the ramble about cultural weakening. It's kind of a bit all over the place. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I obviously am just kind of, like I said before, OMSing, old man syndroming. Get those damn kids off my lawn. Chick, chick, boom. But, yeah, let's listen to a song and then come back with some comments. Yay! Welcome back. That there was the kind of like a Mega Man 2 boss, not kind of, but that was the Mega Man 2 boss theme redone by Yugen. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a comment section there, and I want to say thank you for those who did leave comments. Maybe I should have waited to started this up. But throat's kind of disagreeing with me. But yeah, there's a comment section there, so thank you for those who commented. And like I've said before, for any of those who do wish to comment, either leave it on one of the episodes there for Rambling Weekly, or it'd probably be a lot easier to direct message me through the Twitters, the at Muragaru553, Muragaru 553. So yeah, let's get into these. And as I've said before in previous episodes, if I have forgotten somebody's, let me know. And for those who are wondering, yes, that is a bunch of birds chirping. There is a nest of birds not too far from where I sit, and so I guess they are begging Mommy Dearest to bring them some partially chewed up worms. Yum. So yeah, for the comments here, as far as I could remember, it was just for the Rambling Weekly 8th. Like I said before, if I missed one, please let me know. My recording schedule has been all sorts of screwed up. I've tried to keep it uniform, but that has not worked out for very different reasons. I find it really hard to to record unless I'm by myself. And it's hard to get time by myself, so yeah. So I have to pick and choose my battles, because I kind of as Silver Mongoose has said before about sound, talking as I'm talking right now is probably the loudest. What I probably ought to be doing is putting the mic closer to me, so I'm almost like trying to eat it. But I'll save that for the next episode, so I don't have, because I'm lazy and the editing required for it. Let's get into these comments. So, alright, so from Rambling Weekly 8th, we start off here with the Positiver. And, alright, so he starts off by saying, yes, RPG Maker. When I was in the 4th grade, I used to make mini games and try to make many stories through. I think it would ultimately made me want to try getting into the RPG genre overall. A time I always fondly remember. Smiley face. Yeah, like RPG Maker, I used it, like I said before, I used it to kind of just see a different way of how I was envisioning the story that I had and still have as a kid and stuff. It's a different way to kind of look at it, and I don't know. It's fun. Like it's fun to work on things. The big problem people seem to have is that you don't, and maybe that's why a lot of people attached to that Undertale game is that you don't have quote unquote new everything, music, artwork, battle system and stuff. It's like sometimes, like, I don't have an issue with that sort of thing as long as people tell a good story. That's to me that's the most important thing when it comes to an RPG is trying to tell a story. Maybe that's why I've kind of fallen off the wagon a lot with games, is that they're not really trying to tell an interesting story. At least not to my tastes. Yeah, so go RPG Maker. I actually have one of them. I don't remember which one it is, but I did get it not too horribly long ago, so I just really haven't had a chance to fiddle with it because I'm kind of working on the game. in trying to write a story. God, so much stuff. His next little section here is, I can like every story. I think it also depends on how one is telling the story. In a book, it should be about how you word it out. In a movie, you gotta keep a certain pace, plus the downtimes, especially when it's an action-adventure movie. And in a game, it depends on the genre. I would like to see more games try to approach of multiple paths, different endings, like a lot of visual novels do. But even RPGs can do that, considering how much freedom you can have in an RPG. It seems like a no-brainer to try that in a lot of games. And I think this is just kind of because of me wanting more of the narrative. I find that when you do the multiple paths, different ending thing, that it really, really weakens the narrative for a lot of different reasons. One is you have what's the true ending, why is it the true ending, if there is one, and then, people, they could be like, well, yeah, until we figure out what we want to do. Like, a lot of people do like the different endings and stuff like that. I don't hate them, but I'm not the biggest fan of them. It's not my cup of tea. Like, not to throw my lot in with this lot, but for example, my sister, she's like 13, and she likes to read a lot. And I had said something to her about a game that was kind of like maybe not a game, but just the concept of a game where it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. And this immediately caused her eyes to roll in the back of her head. Mind you, for 90+% of her life have not been around to really to kind of push one thing or another, but and I think a lot of people who end up just reading don't really. For some, it's a bit, it comes off very condescending. I myself, I just don't. It's just not my cup of tea because, like I said, it's hard enough to write a story. Now let's write a whole bunch of different stories. I think one game that actually, and it's not different paths. Well, it is multiple paths, but you have to take them all. Is Rudra no Hiho, or Treasures of Rudra, or The Treasures of the Rudras. That game has, I want to say, 4 different writers, at least 3 or 4 different writers, and they each wrote the different sections of the game. And so you start off with 3 sections, and then once you beat that, you have the final 4th section, and they all feel a little different. To me, that's a really, really cool thing, and maybe that's why I like things like The Last of Us, is because it's really focused, and so you have that story and stuff like that. And with things like Uncharted, so far with 3, it's at least there's a little bit more meat on the bones. Where with 1 and 2, it's just kind of stop the baddie, find the place, stop the baddie. The end. But so yeah, maybe I don't know. It's I could see it from how it could help add replayability, but maybe something like Mega Man makes that like it's fun, but it's because you can tackle it in so many different ways. It's repeated fun kind of thing. So, all right. His next part here is, my most favorite stories are stories that are short and usually like to the point. Not like a trilogy that requires you to keep going with the entire series and understand the whole plot. Examples, mostly for games, because I can't think of movies right now. Dragon Quest series, classic Final Fantasy series, including some of the spin-offs, etc. Yeah, I like that's what I kind of like about the with Dragon Quest, the numerical ones, is that they're very concise, and even within the quote unquote trilogies, you outside of the first three, like the first trilogy, it adds to it because particularly with the end for well, not the end, but with just how three is I love three. But take for example the second trilogy. You don't really need to play 4 before playing 5, or to play 6 before playing 4 or 5. They just kind of share some locales and things like that, which is fine. Final Fantasy does a good job. I do like how they up until 10, because I've played 13. That's and I never played 12. I watched somebody play 12. But and I never played 11 nor 14, and my brother has a PS4 and I've not even looked at the demo. It's downloaded. I haven't even looked at it. I do like that they reference things. Take, for example, Final Fantasy IX references events in Final Fantasy II just from a story aspect, not necessarily that they're on the same planet or something like that. Yeah, so I do like the one-offs. Like, for something like Lost Odyssey, there's no reason to have a sequel to it. It is... Man, they are really hungry. But Lost Odyssey doesn't need a sequel. It is concise, sort of. I mean, for a 40 to 50 hour game or so, it is concise. It's got what it needs. It doesn't. Sometimes you don't need. Sometimes less is more, and I think sometimes people don't see it that way, which is fine. I mean, that's. Like Napoleon said, quantity is a quality all unto itself. So, alright. And he put, I do enjoy complex stories as well, but to be that way, it really depends on how it is told. If I would like it or not. Xenogears is one of the best examples of a complex story told well. I really like Chrono Cross's plot, despite having a lot of holes and some things not explained. The best, and never forget that info dump at the end. Yeah, never forget. But I still really like the game overall. I think people wanted Chrono Trigger too, and while Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games of all time, I prefer it over Chrono Cross. I still love Chrono Cross a ton. Yeah, Chrono Cross is a bit of an enigma, or just kind of a weird one. When it came out, yeah, a lot of the media people's trumpeting it 10 out of 10's the best game ever. I think this adds maybe credence to what I was saying before, is that here you've got part of the problem is you only have a 3-party system in the game. And when you only have 3, it's fine when you have Chrono Trigger type numbers for a party, which is not what happened with Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross has like 60 characters or more. And that in itself, while it does allow you a bunch of different mix and match possibilities, it adds a lot of shallow characters. Take, for example, the alien, Starry. I think his name is Starry? Starkey? Yeah. But I do like Chrono Cross myself. I thought that was a really strong strong, I don't want to say performance, but I mean, Mitsuda did a fantastic job with the soundtrack. Like, I always love Xenogears soundtrack. I think it gets kind of shoveled to the side for things like Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger, but I love Gears' soundtrack, and Trigger and Cross's is really, really good as well, and of course Trigger's too. But yeah, like the thing with Xenogears that always it's an amalgamation, or like a combination of a bunch of different old sci-fi things, like the point where they're feeding they're turning people into food. That's a homage to Soylent Green, but I mean, of course, that's just one. Solaris is like, it's kind of like what the heck? Not 1984, but Brave New World, where it's people are pretty much feeding themselves into being happy and doing these things to be happy, and they don't see the monstrosity that they've got working in the background for them. And plus they're very, very, very egotistical. I mean, it what it does is it takes a lot of those things that have been explored in movies and stuff and puts them all together, and I think it does do a good job with that, despite what they say with Disc 2. Maybe it's me polishing a turd, but I think how Disc 2 is presented because of the financial situation, how Disc 2 is presented makes me feel like the game goes from it's fanned out and there's a lot of stuff going on, but when it comes to Disc 2, it does this kind of weird focusing act, and then it's like a laser beam shooting you, get you to the end sort of thing. And it feels like it's on rails. You got a lot of dialogue and kind of questioning and stuff going on, but it almost adds weight to the whole thing of being faded and sort of like that. Like I said, me trying to polish a turd, but I do love my Xenogears. Yeah. And then his last part here is an example for a complex plot not told well is, in parentheses, surprise, surprise, Kingdom Hearts series. I used to love it, now my opinions are different towards it. The plot, I understand, but I hear countless times that people think the plot is complicated. At first I was puzzled, but then I realized it was not told very well, and the story for the 3DS game proves that. The plot was already complicated to understand, but now they threw in time travel, which, in my opinion, if you don't use that thing in your story well, then the story is ruined, and in Kingdom Hearts it just came out of nowhere. Also, let's not forget making every game, even the ones that should clearly be spin-offs, canon is a terrible idea. Parentheses, rant over. Yeah, like I've said before, I've only played the first one. So it's not like it's like way out of line or anything like that. So I'll take your word for it. It does seem like it, and especially with the time travel thing. Time travel is a precarious element to be using. I think 12 Monkeys used it well. At least the movie. I have no idea how that. I don't even know if the series is still going. Did they kind of flop, or is it still going? But 12 Monkeys, I think, did it well. The Chrono Trigger does it in a way that you don't care. Like, it's not done in a way that impedes from telling a fun story. I think Radiant Historia does a good job with it. And there's probably a few more game-wise that it's not so bad, but those are the couple that come to mind real quick. It's a really, when you start dealing with time travel, you start playing with an element, because we are confined to the concept of time. We don't have this ability to just, jump back 3 days or whatever, or jump ahead 10 years or something like that. Because we are confined, we are chained, we are prisoners of the passage of time. I think this is why, for the most part, people who put in stories about time have it fall flat on their faces, because it's a thing that we cannot comprehend, at least not at this moment. So, because of the inability to comprehend that sort of thing, we're kind of just shooting in the dark, and because we don't comprehend it, and we try to write about it, and you just kind of make up stuff. it can come off really loosey-goosey. So, yeah. We did have a little bit of a back and forth And I did mention about how people were really ridiculous with RPG Maker, saying I remember reading on some of the forums and stuff years ago that somebody would not play an RPG Maker game unless it had twice as much content of Final Fantasy IV, at least 50 hours of playtime, no repeating monsters, as in no palette swaps, and a whole list of other things. It was ridiculous, and there was other people that agreed. They're like, "Yeah, it's totally the case," and it's like, I mean, this is where you get that the Undertale thing, where the guy, not all of it, but a majority of it was done by one dude. That's, yeah, props for that. When you go from that to look how many people made Final Fantasy IV. And that, to me, is somebody not understanding the context of a situation when it comes to creating something, and that bugs the hell out of me. But I did recommend for the Positor to play Radiant Historia. He says he hasn't, but it's on his list of DS games to play. Like I said in the comments, it feels like to me a combination of Xenogears with its mood, how it feels, the vibe of it, plus Chrono Trigger with how you can jump to different sections of the different time periods or different sections of the story and stuff. And then there's two different timelines you're dealing with. And that's all I'm going to say. The end. So, it's a lot of food. I really, really like it. And Yoko Shimomura does the music for it, and yeah, she's awesome. So, thank you, the Positiver. Alright, next up we have Kid Koala. And let's see here. Hold on. Got a cat to deal with. Phew, okay, I'm back. Blew my nose, took care of cats. The end. Alright, so yeah, Kid Koala here. His comments is, yeah, the reason I said I should probably play through it again, as in Mega Man 10, is because I was pretty sure my brain somehow lumped Mega Man 9 and 10 together as one game. As it turns out, I was right. No idea how, but the brain can do messed up things sometimes. Right. I think the way that I'm able to segregate those two games is because of the music. The music's very different for each of them. Same with like 2 and 3. That's how they modeled the music for 9 and 10. Is 2's is like 9, or 9's is like 2, and 10's is like 3. And that to me is how I can keep it apart. Plus Sheepman. Sheepman's awesome. But I played through both games yesterday, enjoyed them a lot more. Yay! With that being said, I can still say I'm not the biggest fan of either games. Also, I can now say with confidence I didn't die while playing through 10 or 9 this time through. That, like, I'm curious, are you like a cautious person, or you just are like just that good at it? It's just like, because I'll be honest, I don't, as much as I've played the games, there's times where I just die, but I'm not, what's the word? It does, like, for example, Rob mentioned this before a long time ago, where he would hit reset if he got hurt or things like that, because he didn't want that when he was playing some of the Mega Man games. I'm too loose for that. I'm like, whatever, just get through it. I'll take the damage that comes. Are you like that, or do you just and so that thus being just kind of like naturally good with it, or are you kind of cautious and have like a bunch of E-tanks and stuff like that? I'm curious to find out. Working on things, I normally keep it to myself. It's really no one's business but mine, and if I do show it to somebody and they call it a hobby, I make a note in my head to never talk to them again. That shit really pisses me off. But yeah, I can see that. I don't know if I would. I'm wondering if you're meaning like to talk to them again in the sense of solely about that subject, or just at all. Like, I do think you have the right approach of just kind of keep it to yourself unless you want to share it with somebody. But unfortunately, how a lot of people are is that when you share something very personal, is because it's very personal to you, then a lot of people aren't going to really be that same way towards it, because it's a different kind of thing for them. I remember, no joke, I remember there's these little writing aid things that we check out from the library in high school, and I would use those to write little. It was like it was something to express myself, because I was new to the high school and people really didn't know me, and I did it just to kind of do it. And I remember very distinctively that there was a line in there that I had about, something had happened, and I had that BB gun like set to my head. Mind you, never happened, but the way that it's written isn't really a joke, as more of just it was just a hard time, and it was expressing being suicidal and whatnot. And a lot of my friends thought it was funny because it was using a BB gun. And I was like, okay, that's a bit, it's just different perspective. It wasn't like, it's just like, okay, all right, I don't know if I would say, I do understand that if you're like working on something and somebody's like, oh, you're just kind of working on it for fun, or that sort of thing, and it's like, I do get that. Yeah, and especially if somebody's just kind of bringing it up to be an ass about it, it's just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So, but you do have a different opinion on what hobbies are, so let me read that. Hobbies are things, in my opinion, like reading books, watching a movie, playing a game, listening to music, fun stuff. So, but that's also a subjective thing, so maybe people don't really see hobbies quite solely as just fun. So, like me, I see personally, like how I see hobbies. Hobbies are ways for me to further expand things about myself, or to maybe try to learn something else. Like cooking would be. I'm not the greatest cook. I don't mind cooking and stuff, but cooking would be an interesting hobby to pick up, because it would add a skill or a talent I don't have that well. That, or I like I've mentioned before, reading like history stuff. That's more of just like, I'm not heavy studious with it, but it's something I like to read up on and stuff like that. But I also, while it is a bit of work, I do also have fun with it. So I guess for me, it's not quite as binary with that there's only two sides. There's only work and there's only fun. But is working out a hobby? It's not really fun, and it feels like fucking work. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? But some people do find it fun. Some people find it's very cathartic. It actually has a lot of based like science and how it affects the mood into being happier and stuff like that. You look at like the brain scans of people who go around walking and how differently it lights up the brain and stuff. And I know that's walking over lifting or something, or working out, but I mean, it is not it is not as I guess for some people they find it is a pleasure to do that sort of work for the outcome. So, but I'm totally with you on that. It feels like fucking work. Is playing music a hobby? I guess most people would say yes, but some people make a living off of it. Same goes for writing. Yeah, like, and it's, you got the hobby, but also it could be a form of catharsis. Like, maybe some people do that just to kind of... I think I write half the time just to kind of get things out of my head, or to just kind of focus. And maybe that sounds psychotic, but that's it for me. And then, so how do you define what a hobby is? The answer is you can't, because everyone has everybody have different opinions. Pretty much. But I do think you can. I do have the dictionary right in front of me. I'm going to look this up. But I want, and this kind of maybe reflects back on this episode in particular, is that I do think that there is, while you can have differing opinions on how you feel about a hobby, I don't know if because then you're completely disregarding what the word is. And yeah, that's right. I'm looking up what exactly the definition of hobby comes out to. And see, here's the definition for it from my Webster's New World Compact Office Dictionary, is that it is something that one likes to do in one's spare time. That, I think, is a meaning we can get behind. And maybe not, but I think if you divorce hobby from doing from work and fun, maybe that is a better way to look at it. Maybe not. But yeah, let's see here. He also added in, let's see, because I've commented and stuff, and his response back is, I've always found it to be very interesting how people act when they find out you're working on something or trying something new. Take, for example, I've been a vegetarian since I was 13 years old. I give absolutely zero fucks whatsoever if other people eat meat or anything they decide to do with their life, but they always seem to feel inclined to tell me they disagree with my decision. And I wonder if that's because they've had other people who have been vegetarians kind of push that onto them. Not to say that that's right or wrong, justifying it, or anything like that. But you do hear of the examples of people who are because they have made that choice, acting a bit more snooty, allegedly, towards people who don't make that choice. Personally, myself, I'm not a big red meat eater. I like to have a steak, like, maybe every month to 2 months. Not well done. That's just but maybe like medium rare is probably the I like it to have a little bit of blood in it. But I mean, if that's like you say, yeah, if that's what you wish to do and it is not harming me in any way, or I'm not harming you in any way, and I mean, there are certain lengths that you have to go. If you are stretching out, well, if you do this and, you know, by 30 different degrees it finally comes back to kind of sour on me a bit, then I think you are living life way too condensed, confined to a little area. But yeah, I totally get you on that. When people are trying to dictate how you, or like what you eat and things like that, that's ridiculous. Let's see. Also, it can be someone I don't even really know, like a coworker at a job or anything, but it doesn't really matter because the conversation always begins the same way. If God didn't want you to eat meat, then why would he have created animals? Logically, that argument makes no sense and could be used for anything. Yeah, pretty much. You hear people all the time say, well, it's in the Bible. And it's like, what? Like, if memory serves me correctly, and I'm going to piss off, like, a lot of people probably for saying this, but if memory serves me correctly, the gods that were in the Bible, I want to say it's spun from the Mesopotamian gods, and I mean, because you have, I mean, it is what it is, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not a subject I'm touching yet because I know I'll be digging a deeper hole for myself soon enough with that. But it is, yeah. I don't like that argument either. It's just like it's a way to pretty much say, well, it's here, so I'm justifying it why I like it and why you shouldn't at all be doing that sort of thing. With that being said, I will bring back this topic on hand. When people knew I was working on something, they would continue to tell me that I was wasting my time. That there in itself pisses me off. When people say it's a waste of time, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of time. How many people that are saying that sort of thing are themselves wasting their own time, like watching TV or, you know, or watching movies or sitting there clickety-clacking on Facebook all the time or playing games? Well, what you do is what you do, and to say, I mean, yeah, you know, to say that that's wasting their time. Well, what's to say that what they're doing is wasting their time? But my question to them would be, what is not a waste of time? See, we're on the same wavelength sometimes. That could qualify. Sorry, this could never. They could never give me an answer to my question, and that was when I decided I should probably keep whatever I'm doing to myself. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I just kind of work on stuff. People ask me, and I just kind of, I'm writing stuff. Well, what's right? Just writing a story. The end. So, I also still don't know how I mixed Mega Man 9 and 10 into one game, but I accidentally did the same thing recently when I was talking to somebody about Resident Evil 2 and 3. I guess I was just blaming on my brain fucking up lately. Yeah, I mean, it also depends on how long ago it was that you played it there, so, yeah. But thank you, Kid Koala, for the comments. Now, on to the last comment I got here is from Mr. Sushi B. Yeah. Mr. Munogaru553. I can concur with you regarding the writing process. Having done some academic writing, there have been many moments where time was spent focusing on the accumulation of data, and my writing didn't progress nearly as fast as I would have liked it. Hours would pass and few paragraphs would be produced. That didn't mean the level of work was lacking, but the produced tangible was. Unfortunately, sometimes people forget the process, and time dedicated to a project are equally influential, if not more, as the final product is. Yeah, like, that is something, like, it's, man, those birds are going crazy. I apologize. That is something that always kind of, like, you have to take into to focus. Mind you, not a good example is George R.R. Martin with the Song of Ice and Fire. Partially because he has done other things, so he's kind of biting. I totally understand that, doing some other things and getting back to it. It's just he's taking a long time. And sometimes it really doesn't, and that's the unfortunate thing when it comes to writing. You know, you take a long time to write, and then people will read it really quickly, and then that's it. They don't like it, they like it, and all that other kind of lovey hunky dory stuff. Where if you draw something, you can be pretty quick about drawing something, and people can have a really quick rebuttal or opinion to throw out there and stuff. It's just sometimes doing all that work really doesn't balance it out. I've always enjoyed the Matt quote. I feel the determination to see projects through boils down to overcoming the fear of rejection / criticism and creating a timeline that keeps you both honest and motivated, and finding reasonable means to realize your goals. Rarely does fruition come easy. Keep these episodes rolling. Thank you, Mr. Sushi B. Yeah, that's actually, there's, who was it? There's another quote that's like it from somebody, the end. That's very, very similar to what Matt says. It's like talking is easy, but to do the work, I don't want to look it up because I'm afraid my computer's going to blow up on me. But it's along the same veins of that. But it's not even like a fear of rejection sort of thing. And that is certainly a fear that keeps people or inhibits people from doing things, is the fear of rejection, as well as the fear of criticism. At this point, I'm just like, fuck it, whatever. Just do things. And people have, as long as you bring me a critique that is appropriate and not just, you suck, lols, blades, 37, whatever. I don't know where I was going with that. But, that's, you gotta give me proper criticism. You can't just say, it sucks. And if you build your criticisms on subjective things like, well, I didn't like it when this thing happened. Why? Do you just not like that happening, or is there? Yeah. So, woo. But thank you. That is the comment section. I gotta blow my nose again. This is weird. I was feeling all sorts of fine, and of course, the day that I started to record, I've got this thing going on. So yeah, let's take a break, get into the quotes, and then wrap this up. Welcome back there, everybody. That was Evil Sweeper Furious Harmony by Godspeed or Vivix. That dude is quite awesome. I think he's actually got a few videos online, so I will post those up because they's good. They's very good. Yeah. Goodness gracious. I didn't do it, and I ought to have done it before, and I'm running out of solidarity Taylor time, so I need to. I wanted to look up this quote that I was just talking about in the previous section. Not using it as a quote for this one, but if my internet wasn't so poopy, boom boom boom, poop internet doopy. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. It's by Goethe. Wow, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And it's thinking is easy, acting is difficult. And to put one's thoughts into action is the most difficult thing in the world. I know it's not the exact same thing as the Matt quote there, Mr. Sushi B. But that is... Yeah, it's in a similar vein. So, and... I wish people kind of took more appreciation into that, and that it can be really hard to express one's thoughts and that sort of thing. And just because somebody can do it well doesn't mean that it's good. Is also something to take into note. But yeah, my quote for today comes from. And it's actually in the same vein as this. It comes from Thucydides, and he was an Athenian general and philosopher. Well, he wasn't a philosopher, but he was like a historian, you should say. But he has even a quote about the whole history is philosophy, teaching by example. But that is not the quote of his that I'm going with. But he wrote about the history of the Peloponnesian War, and this is one of those things that I likes it. And what was the Peloponnesian War? The Peloponnesian War was like the war for Greece's soul between Sparta and Athens. So, the end. Truth be told, I haven't actually read a whole lot about it, but I'm getting there. I read Xenophon's. Anabasis, or the Persian expedition, and I'll probably tackle that sometime soon. I'm still going through Conan the Barbarian. I'm about 250 pages in. It's not that I don't like it. I just haven't really had much of an opportunity to read, and I've literally had to set a schedule for myself to be like, I'm going to read now. So, but no, this quote is: few things are brought to a successful issue by impetuous desire, but most by calm and prudent forethought. So, you're just saying that, and this is kind of how I feel with a lot of things when it comes to people who want to make a game, or people who write, or people who want to make a movie, or people who, want to do music and that sort of thing. Is that initial desire to be like, yeah, you want to do it, is only going to get you so far. It's only going to push you so far. Maybe not necessarily the calm, prudent forethought will push you through, but just kind of doing something on a whim, or because you've got the urge to herbal, does not mean that that you'll be able to push through and have it and get it done. I mean, I rarely see that sort of kind of thing happen without having the push by other extraneous forces to kind of keep things going. And in doing so, making the person or people kind of not stoic, but more so just kind of persevering and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that is that, and I need to pick a song. let's see. Okay, we're gonna go with this song. No, we're gonna go with this other one. It's a Celtic arrangement of Final Fantasy V's Butts theme, his hometown theme, to be more specific. Yeah, I don't like Final Fantasy V whatsoever, but this song, this rendition of the song, this arrangement of the song is really, really good. And it's by Edu, and Edu does a lot of different songs. He's got a really cool, I can't think of what the hell the game series is called. Etrian Odyssey, I believe is what it is. There's one of those battle themes that was already pretty catchy to begin with. He did an arrangement of it that I really like as well. He's got a bunch of other songs on there as well that are from different things. So, yeah, that is it. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your weekday, weekend, weeknight, morning, all that sort of stuff whenever you do get around to listening to this. And I will catch you guys later. Have a good one.